Wow. Wow. You guys are amazing. You are amazing. Amazing. Wow. I'm so glad to be here. Well, I just want to get a couple of really awesome announcements out of the way so we just have the rest of the night. I think, are we ready for the lower thirds? By the way, can we just thank all the dudes in the house? I think they are scared. I think secretly they're having fun, deep down inside, but I think that they're a little shocked too. I think they're a little scared, but I think they're having a good time. So, you guys, next month, March 21st, we're doing it again. I'm so excited. And are you guys ready for the theme? The food theme. Are you ready? For those that are of the savory, since we got the sweet this time, at next month, everything's cheese, okay? All cheese. So cheese and crackers, cheese and fruit, cheesy muffins, the Red Lobster cheese biscuits, anything cheese, that is the theme for next month is cheese. So we're going to have fun with this. And last but not least, if you want to be a part, we would love to have you join the Imago Dei team. And so if you would love to be a part of it, in the foyer where the coffee table is some sign-up sheets. And just sign up wherever you would like to get plugged in, get connected. We'd love to have you join and just be a part of this monthly team that gets together. Also, there's a couple of connect groups that still have a little space left in them. And so if you're looking for something more on a weekly basis in between the weekend services, those sign-up sheets are available as well. And of course, we have merch. The awesome hoodie shirts are available. I think there's only a couple left, so make sure you grab them. Every month, we're hoping to kind of put something new out. It's going to be limited edition every month. So next month, I kind of have a surprise up my sleeve of what I'm thinking. I think you guys are going to like it. I think they're going to sell out really fast. Let me just say, it's not a shirt. So that's what we have going on. Another really cool last thing, every month, as many of you know, the vision here at Fusion is to reach those that are far from Jesus, to equip Christ's followers, and to go into all the nations. And so we have an amazing, amazing woman that is a part of the sisterhood, that's a part of the Fusion family staff. Her name is Ann Dice. Our rock star Ann Dice. And so every month she is going to kind of help us out with a missions, local, international. There's going to be a lot of great things. So this month, if you were in the foyer, there was a table, and we are helping an organization called Angels in Motion, and it is for women who are addicted to different narcotics, and we have put together some care packages, and you guys have an opportunity to write a note of encouragement that will go in those care packages. We will be handing those out to those women in Atlantic City and Camden. And so make sure you get an opportunity to do that. We would love for you to help us go ahead and fill those bags and put a personal touch in there. Next month, there is a women's battered shelter right here in Northfield, and we're going to be putting together some Easter baskets. And so those Easter baskets, they really need some specific items. And when you came in, you should have received a flyer of those specific items they're looking for. If you did not get it, I think we ran out. We will make sure that we post it on our Instagram account. So make sure you follow us, Imago Dei Women, I think it is. I've only tagged it 50 times, but now it automatically pops up on my phone. So if you do that, we will post what we need. If you bring those next week, next month, we are going to assemble Easter baskets to give to them. Isn't that just awesome that we get to be a part of that? Yeah. So anyway, I am so excited to go ahead and dig into this message. So over Christmas, our family went to Nashville. That's where my sister and her family live, and that's where we spent Christmas. all my family met there, and there's this really cute little downtown area. It's called Downtown Franklin, and it's really tiny. It's about 2 or 3 blocks, but it has the most adorable little shops and boutiques, and it's kind of, like where all the country music stars and that kind of thing like to go and shop. Really nice, like little boutique-y restaurants and the little coffee shops and the teas and the scones, and just imagine a really southern downtown. And I used to live there for about a year, and so I had a couple of my favorite spots, and there was a couple of new stores that have opened. It's been 14 years since I've lived from there, so a couple of things have gone out of business, a couple of things have gone in, and you have to also get this. We were like the only ones in downtown Franklin. It was like 50 below zero that day, and it was so cold. We also had 6 kids running around with us in these like high-end boutique stores. All the people like in the South, they're like, "Hi, y'all, bless your heart. Get those kids out of my store." And so we were just kind of like breezing in and out, and half the time didn't even know where our kids were because we were just hoping Aunt so-and-so had this one. And, we were a hot mess on this couple of blocks. And but anyway, I walked into this store, and I just want you to get, I'm not in like a very deep frame of mind, okay? I'm in scatterbrained world. I'm freezing, but I'm loving this. And I walk into this store, and I'm like, something just overtook me, and I'm like, this store, like, why am I just being drawn in? Like, I don't even care where anyone is. I just need to be here. And so I started looking all around, and everything I noticed was so beautiful. And everything had these amazing words, like words of life. And then I started looking at the walls, and as I read, it was like all this beautiful lettered, and it was like telling me who I was in Christ. But there was really it wasn't a Christian store. It was just like all these things, and I'm just looking, and I'm going into the store, I'm just going in, and I'm looking. And all that to say, I had to go back to that store. I had to drop my family off and say, guys, I need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours, 10 hours. I need to go back. And come to find out, the name of the store is Imago Dei. And it's Greek, and it's for in his image, made in his image. And I got to know a little bit about the owner. She's 20. When she was in high school, she went on a missions trip. And on that missions trip, the Lord spoke to her and said, one day you're going to clothe the orphans. And so she thought, yeah, awesome. What she did do is she changed her degree from education to fashion merchandising or something like that. And she thought, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get my MRS degree, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a couple of kids, and then I'll go back and get like an MBA, and when I'm 45, I'll figure out this whole like clothe the orphan thing, and that'll probably be what I do in my middle age. And God had totally other plans for this incredible girl who was raised by her grandmother, raised with nothing. The Lord handed her a multi-million-dollar store when she was 20 years old. And she chooses everything in this store that is giving back to orphans. Her store is actually clothing the orphans. But the Lord spoke to her and said, you're to tell women that they're Imago Dei, they're made in his image. And so all over the store, it is who you are in Christ. And that from that moment I experienced in December until today, I've been obsessed with this message of who am I and who are we? What is Imago Dei? And so I've been studying pretty deep. I'm pretty obsessed with this, and I'm ready to share. So this is how it all got started, and you guys are going to know a lot about Imago Dei when it's all said and done after you walk out tonight. And my prayer tonight is that this is your experience, that when you walk in here tonight and you hear this message loud and clear, you become obsessed with Jesus and his love letter to you, which is the Bible. And so as I was doing my research, I came across a biblical scholar. His name is D.J.A. Kleins, and he has this groundbreaking article. It's called The Image of God in Man. And he says this, you speak in terms of man possessing the image of God, we respond that the image of God is not so much something that bears as something that man is. The grammar favors the translation, God created man as his image, over God created man in his image. Follow with me. As Klein puts it in his concluding remarks, thus we may say that according to Genesis 1, man does not have the image of God, nor is he made in the image of God, but is himself the image of God. Humankind then was created to be a copy or a graphic image of the Creator. A formal, visible, and understandable representation of who God is and what he is really like. So, if you take a look around you tonight, to the right, to the left, in front of you and behind, you are sitting around copies off of heaven's photocopy machine. Copies of Jesus himself. Think about that. So, there's a couple of words that I noticed in this store, and I want to tell you who you are tonight. You're loved. You are chosen. You are worthy. You are a warrior. You are seen. You are purposed. You are forgiven. You are redeemed. You possess every fruit of the Spirit. You have love. You have joy. You have peace. You have patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and you have self-control. This is who you are. You don't have to strive to be this. You don't even have to work for this. This is who you are. When God created you, he photocopied an image of himself, and this is who you are. See, I believe the greatest work that God wants to do tonight is in you, not for you. I believe that many of us have called ourselves other things or have allowed people to call us other things or identify us. And I believe that the greatest miracle that could happen tonight is that you trade those names in and those identities and those lies for who God has called you and who he's named you to be. I want you to get back to who you really are. So why don't we walk around confident in our identity? So I did a little bit more research, and I found something on ABC News. And I thought this was just so perfect. I had to share this story with you. It says, Suburban girl finds out she's a princess. This was on Good Morning America, but I got this off of the abcnews.com website. Adopted 2 days after her first birthday, Sarah Culberson grew up the youngest daughter in a close-knit family from Morgantown, West Virginia. She was surrounded by love in her home, but always wondered about her roots. Searching to unlock the secrets of her past, at age 22, Culberson began searching for her birth parents. She quickly learned that her mom had died a dozen years earlier from cancer. Culberson was crushed. A few years later, a private investigator helped her locate her birth father, along with an unbelievable surprise. Culberson wasn't an average suburban girl. She was a princess. See, her father was a ruling member of the Mindi tribe in Bumpi, Sierra Leone, and was living in Africa. By birthright, Culberson was royalty. She could one day be known as paramount chief in a country she's never seen. Talking with ABC's Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, Culberson said, it took a while to process the shock of discovering her biological dad. It took a couple of years to kind of deal with finding my father and having two dads, she said. So her father invited her to Africa to meet her family. and the entire Boompi community came out to welcome its princess, a happy homecoming for the American girl who never knew that by searching for her birth parents, she'd find herself. They were amazing, Culberson said, remembering her first impression of the Boompi. There are about 200 people to 300 people there to welcome you in the ceremony, singing and dancing. And I was like, what did I do to deserve this? Wow. So I started thinking, why aren't we walking around in our identity? Maybe we're just a bunch of suburban women here that haven't realized that we're royalty. And I hope that tonight I can speak over you, Galatians 4, that you are no longer a slave, but you have been adopted into God's family, and therefore you are an heiress, and therefore you are royalty. And so there might be days that you don't feel loved, but that doesn't mean you aren't loved. You're loved because you are a daughter. You were created as a photocopy on heaven's photocopy machine. So it doesn't matter what you think or how someone else has treated you as unloved. I'm here to tell you, you are loved. That's who you are, down to your identity. See, I have blue eyes. You can't change me. You can't tell me I have green eyes. I have blue eyes. See, you can't tell me what I already am. So those identities, maybe from birth, if my mom had told me that I always had green eyes, I would somewhat believe me until someone looked me in the eyes and said, no, you have blue eyes. See, some of you might have gone to the eye doctor or some kind of, I guess not even a doctor, but you could have gone to an ophthalmologist and said, I have green eyes, but I want blue eyes, and they can give you colored contacts. But at the end of the day, those colored contacts do not define who you are. You have blue eyes. And so tonight, maybe you don't feel chosen here tonight. Maybe someone's told you you weren't chosen. It doesn't matter what you feel, or it doesn't matter what someone else has said. It's who you are. You are chosen. You are worthy. You are a warrior. You have it in you to fight. These are the things that God has created you to be. And so I hope to deliver the news to you today that you are an heiress and to the most amazing King of Kings and to royalty. And that tonight I hope that as suburban women, we walk out of here with different identities, and that crown gets adjusted just a little bit different on our heads as we remember that we are absolute princesses in the kingdom of God. I also loved what she said about this, is that she looked around and she saw what a disaster her country was in. And so she said, the title princess means responsibility, and that's what I'm taking on. So did man's fall into sin destroy or remove the image of God? No. It merely marred it or it disfigured it. I think so many of us are working for our salvation. We're working for the love and the approval of our Heavenly Father's love. And Ephesians 2 says, for you are saved by grace through faith, and this is not from yourself. It is God's gift, not from works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship. We are created in Christ Jesus. We are made in his image. We are made as his image for good works, which God prepared ahead of time for us to do. See, you guys know I'm obsessed with the Message version. The Message says this: saving is all his idea. See, God didn't look at you and go, oh, I guess I have to save you. Oh, I guess I have to let. No. He wants to save you. It's all his idea. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can't do. Saving is what he desires to you. And there's nothing you can do to step a little bit farther into the kingdom of God. This is not a works-based salvation. This is all grace. It says saving is all his idea and all his work. All we do is trust. We have to surrender, not control him enough to let him do it. It's God's gift from start to finish. We don't play the major role. And this is why, if we did, we'd probably go around bragging that we'd done the whole thing. No, we neither make nor save ourselves. God does both the making and the saving. He creates each of us by Christ Jesus to join him in the work he does. The good work he has gotten ready for us to do. Work we better be doing. See, I also want to tell you something is that you are God's masterpiece. Like I told you, you're not just a photocopy, but it's even more intense than that because you are an incredible piece of art. It says that you're costly, you are highly valuable, you are unique, and that God took a lot of thinking, of planning, and creating you. You were made as the image of God. How do I know this? Psalm 139:16 says, your eyes saw me when I was formless. When you were a speck in this universe, he saw you. All your days were written in his book and planned before a single one of them began. The entire book of Danielle Wilson was written while I was in my mother's womb. Your entire book, your entire volume has already been written by your maker, the person who created you in his image. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you. This is the Lord's declarations, plans for your well-being. If things aren't going well, those aren't his plans. His plans are for your well-being. It says, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. I also want to say that you've not disappointed God by sinning, because we've all sinned. Romans 3:23 says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. He made a way for all of us back to him. Something that will never get out of my head, I think it's scarred in there forever, is I work at many of you know I'm in accounting, and so I visit some clients on 1 day a week, and so I was in an office, and it's a high-end design firm, and I heard the owner say, they know I'm a pastor's wife, and they were saying something about Christianity. I can't even remember what it was, and she goes, Danielle, do you really believe that Bible? I said, yeah, I do. And she goes, I think I'm too lost. I think I'm too far. She goes, I'm in my 60s, Danielle. You have no idea what I've done. She goes, I'm too far gone. I've gone past the point of saving grace. She believes that in her core. Do you know how that makes me feel? Is I want to hear that voice always, because I want to tell you, if that is you tonight and that you feel you've gone too far, where is the measuring stick? Where is the measuring stick to say how far you've gone is too far? You don't know what I've done. It is his saving grace. It says it's all his work. He's the maker and he's the saver. We don't get to decide that. Romans 3 says, since we've compiled this long and sorry record as sinners. Maybe your record isn't long and sorry, but girlfriend, mine is. And it's proved that we are utterly incapable of living the glorious life. Listen, I am not capable of living this life God has called me to. I can't do it. It would exhaust me. It would wear me out. But by the grace of God, I just have to be who God's called Danielle to be, and he takes me from glory to glory, and he takes me from faith to faith, and I'm just along for the ride. It says God did it for us out of sheer generosity. He put us in right standing with himself. He did it. I am in right standing with him, not because of me, but because of him. It is a pure gift. He got me out of the mess I was in and restored me to where he always wanted me to be. And he did that by the means of Jesus Christ. I was thinking as we end, here we are, I needed a time, that sometimes it's great that we know who we are, but in order for us to know who we are, we need to know who God is. So God is sovereign. That's a really big word, so let me break it down. If you were to look it up in the dictionary, you'd find words and phrases like superior, the greatest, supreme in power and authority, ruler, and independent of all others in its definition. But the way I like to explain sovereignty is simply to say God is in control. There is absolutely nothing that happens in the universe that is outside of God's influence and authority. As King of Kings and Lord of Lords, God has no limitations. Consider just a few of the claims that the Bible makes about God. I wrote these down. I think they have these on the lower thirds. It says, God is above all things. He be before all things. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is immortal and he is present everywhere so that everyone can know him. Revelations 21:6. As I was praying, I added this to the message today. I said, he's at the beginning of your story. He was there at the very beginning. He's at the end of your story. You're somewhere in the middle of your story. I can't guarantee you anything here in this broken world. I can't guarantee you tomorrow. I cannot guarantee you an easy life. Sign up for Jesus and he's going to make the road smooth for you. But I know what I can guarantee you. John 14:3 says that he's gone away to prepare a place for me. That where he's there, where I can be with him forever in eternity. I also know that in my Bible, he says that this earth is like a vapor. It's here today, it's gone tomorrow. But that the place he's preparing for me right now, it is forever. It is for eternity. And so this life right here is very temporary. I also know that he's promised in Revelations 21:4 that he will wipe away every tear and that there will be no more crying. There will be no more death. There will be no more crying or pain or mourning in heaven, not on this side. But I do know what I get on this side of heaven is I get a Jesus that saves my soul. And I know I get peace. And I know that I get joy even when circumstances don't look smooth. And so I don't know where you're at in your story, but I can tell you this, it's going to end well. And I hope you have a long life, and I hope I have a long life here. But even if this life is not what you thought it was going to be, I can tell you on the other side that it is going to be amazing. And it is going to be worth it all. I know Colossians 1:16 says that God created all things. He holds all things together, both in heaven and on earth, both visible and invisible. From the White House to your house, God is in control. There is nothing that's too big or there's nothing that's too little that he is not sovereign over. He is in control of everything. It goes on in Colossians 1:16 to talk about thrones and dominions, principalities and powers. See, I think as women, some of the biggest challenges we have is we like to control everything. But control is such a false illusion. There is no control in this world. The moment you get your hands on something, you find out you're really not in control of it. But that is okay. I want you to know that your hope is in Jesus, who controls everything. He's got it all taken care of. I think that tonight, if we could know who we serve, we would kind of loosen the grip off of some things. And we would say, God, I think you know better than I do. I think that thing I've been holding on to a little tight, Maybe you're just asking for me to release the grip because you want to show me how much bigger and what a greater plan and purpose you have for it than what even I have for it. God knows all things, past, present, and future. There's no limit to his knowledge. For God knows everything completely before it even happens. Romans 11:33. Wouldn't you want to serve that God? Wouldn't you want to believe that he's in control, that he knows everything, the past, the present, and the future? Jeremiah 32:17 says, God can do all things and accomplish all things. Nothing is too difficult for him. Nothing is too difficult for him. And he orchestrates and he determines everything that is going to happen in your life, in my life, in America, and throughout the world. Whatever he wants to do in the universe, he does. For nothing is impossible with him. Nothing is impossible with God. Nothing is impossible with God in your life, in my life, in our community, in our country, in our church. Nothing is impossible. It went on, it says that you yourself made the heavens and the earth by your great power and with your outstretched arm. Did you go outside today? Did you get to go outside and see this amazing little space of planet Earth that we live on? It's amazing. And your God created it from the heavens to the earth and everything in between. He has created. He is in control. He is sovereign. God is in control of all things and rules over all things. Psalm 103:19. He has power and authority over nature, earthly kings, history, angels, and demons. Even Satan himself has to ask God's permission before he can act. There is nothing that is out of his control. That's what being sovereign means. It means being the ultimate source of all power, authority, and everything that exists. Only God can make those claims. Therefore, it's God's sovereignty that makes him superior to all other gods and makes him and him alone worthy of worship. The worship team can come back to go ahead and end us out. But I wrote this down: just as peasants always bowed before their king for fear of offending the one who had the authority to take their life, God's sovereignty compels us to bow before him. But unlike corrupt kings who abuse their authority and terrorize their subjects, our God rules in love. He loves you and he wants what's best for you. And so I want to end. I want to speak Imago Dei over every single one of you here tonight. We put that wall of mirrors out when you kind of walked in. Maybe you didn't see it's on the pallet wall because you're a mirror of Jesus. Those women around you, when I see you, I see beauty. When I get to know your heart, I get to know Jesus' heart. When I get to worship with you, I get to worship with Jesus. See, many of you tonight, when you were worshiping, it's the most free you felt in a really long time because that's who you were made to be. You were made to be a worshiper. All your worries were laid at the feet of Jesus. And for a moment, your soul touched heaven. And you realize he is sovereign. He's in control. He loves me. He's got this. I don't need to worry about this anymore. I can just freely worship. That can go with you. It can go with you in your homes. Your homes don't have to be a place of oppression for you. You are made as the image of God. You are God in your home. You represent Jesus in your home. In your place of work, I don't care how oppressed it is. It's kind of funny today. There was a season here I worked for a place that there was a strong oppression there. It was one of the hardest places I've ever had to work in my life. It was so, I can't even tell you. I know many of you know exactly what I'm talking about, but walking into that place put such a heavy burden on me. And just today, someone texted me. I haven't talked to them in probably almost 4 years. And she goes, Danielle, I just wanted to say, I am so sorry for how I treated you. I am so sorry. I don't know what it was, but I just want to let you know I love you and I'm rooting for you today. I want to let you know you can be Jesus. You can represent him no matter how oppressive, how hard that is. You can do it. You are a warrior. You have that warrior spirit in you that is the same that Jesus had, and you can walk through any circumstance, anything that you need to with the power of Jesus. Not with your power, but with his. And I know that worship is that place where I want to encourage you, just in a couple of minutes that we have left, lay it down. Lay it down and don't pick it up again. And sometimes we're tempted to pick it up. But what I pray is the moment you pick it up, you realize, no. I know who I am. I know who he is. I'm going to get through this. No one's going to identify me anymore. My identity now is Imago Dei. I am made in his image. I am his creation. He has a plan for my life. He has a purpose for my life. Tonight's Wednesday night. He knows about tomorrow. It's already been written. He knows 1 year from now. And I want to tell you, there are seasons in this life. There are seasons that are really, really tough. The Bible defines them as going through the fire. That sometimes we walk through fire, but this is what he promises. He refines us and makes us as pure as gold. That we come through shining and sparkling more, and we'll actually be thankful for that fire that we went through. In fact, once we've come through it, we'll actually say, you know what, God, if I had to do it all over again, I think I would want to go through the fire again. Because who I am on this side is so much better than what I was on that side. He's got it all under control. He knew that when you were in the middle of your story and you were crying out, God saw those tears and he said, keep going on. I've got this. I'm sovereign. Let go. Let go. He's got it. He's got the whole story. The whole story's been written and it's really good. It's really good. It's actually amazing. It's actually what you felt in worship today is the story he has written for your life. It is free and it is full of joy. And you know what? It's going to end well. Because let me tell you, no matter how it goes here, how difficult, how easy. At the end, we're all going to be doing this for eternity, and it is going to be beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's stand to our feet, and may I speak Imago Dei over this building and over you, and may you remember that you are made in the image of God.